Have you ever noticed a child becoming unusually quiet after spending time with the other parent? They may have had a wonderful weekend, laughed together, shared special moments, or simply enjoyed being with someone they love. But when they return home, that excitement suddenly becomes hesitation. Instead of eagerly telling their story, they begin wondering whether that happiness is safe to share. During separation or ongoing conflict, children sometimes begin noticing emotional reactions they cannot fully explain. A smile fades, the room becomes quieter. Someone suddenly seems disappointed after hearing something positive about the other parent. No one may ever tell the child to stop talking. The lesson is often learned without a single instruction. This is often where emotional safety quietly begins changing. For some adults, hearing that the child enjoyed time with the other parent may bring up feelings of hurt, rejection, loneliness, uncertainty, or unresolved relationship pain. Those feelings may be very real, but when they repeatedly shape how the adult responds, the child begins learning something completely different. Instead of experiencing happiness as something that can simply be shared, the child begins experiencing happiness as something that first has to be evaluated. Is this story safe? Will someone become upset? Should I leave this part out? The child is not studying psychology. They are studying emotional safety. Over time, they begin noticing which conversations leave everyone feeling calm and which conversations quietly change the atmosphere. Many adults still remember this feeling from childhood, even if they never understood why certain happy memories became difficult to talk about. Sometimes the body notices the change before the mind understands it. The child may suddenly feel tense, uncertain, or anxious before mentioning something that only moments earlier made them smile. That reaction is understandable, because repeated emotional experiences gradually teach the child that someone else's feelings now influence whether their own happiness feels safe to express. This places the child in an emotionally impossible position. They are not choosing between two parents. They are trying to protect two relationships at the same time. The child may begin worrying that sharing one happy memory could unintentionally hurt someone else they also love. Instead of simply enjoying the experience, they begin carrying responsibility for another person's emotional reaction to it. That responsibility was never meant to belong to the child. But children naturally protect important relationships. When they repeatedly experience the same emotional pattern, a quiet adaptation begins developing. They do not stop feeling happiness. They stop feeling free to share it. The adaptation is no longer simply choosing words more carefully. The child begins deciding whether happiness is safe before they decide whether to speak. And without realizing it, they have begun hiding positive feelings about the other parent, not because the love disappeared, but because expressing that love no longer feels emotionally safe. Over time, this quiet adaptation begins changing much more than the child's conversations. It begins changing the way the child experiences happiness itself. Instead of simply enjoying a happy memory, their first question quietly becomes, "Is it safe to tell someone?" That question can follow them for years. The child is no longer deciding what is true. They are deciding what feels emotionally safe to share. That is a heavy responsibility for any child to carry. Because over time, the child's emotional needs may gradually become secondary to the adult's emotional needs, relationship conflict, or need for reassurance, placing emotional responsibility on the child that was never theirs to carry. The child gradually learns something they were never meant to learn. that protecting another person's emotions sometimes feels more important than expressing their own. This adaptation is quiet, but its effects can last well into adulthood. Many adults who experience this pattern find themselves hesitating before sharing good news, downplaying accomplishments, keeping exciting moments to themselves, or feeling unexpectedly guilty when life is going well. Not because happiness feels wrong, but because somewhere along the way, happiness became connected to someone else's emotional reaction. The pattern often continues long after the original situation has ended, even when no one is asking them to stay quiet anymore. Their nervous system may still quietly ask, "Is this safe?" That question often makes much more sense once the pattern is recognized. In healthy relationships, children are free to love both parents openly. They can come home excited, tell stories, laugh about their experiences, and know that both parents want them to feel secure in both homes. They never have to protect one parent's feelings from their love for the other. That emotional freedom is one of the greatest gifts a child can receive. Children don't usually begin hiding positive feelings because they want to. They gradually learn that protecting an important relationship can begin feeling safer than sharing their happiness. Over time, they stop asking, "What made me happy?" and quietly begin asking, "Who is it safe to tell?" That is how children can gradually begin hiding positive feelings about the other parent. Not because the love disappeared, but because expressing that love has gradually stopped feeling emotionally safe. The greatest loss isn't simply the conversations that were never spoken. The greatest loss is that a child slowly stops experiencing happiness as something that can be shared freely. Instead, happiness becomes something that first has to be emotionally evaluated. Your confusion may make more sense than you realized. Recognizing this pattern helps explain why sharing joy, receiving good news, or talking about positive experiences may still feel unexpectedly difficult today. Because the child inside you may have learned long ago, "Before I share my happiness, I need to make sure everyone else will be okay." That responsibility was never yours to carry. Learning to recognize that pattern may be one of the first steps toward trusting your own happiness again. If this video helped put words to something you've experienced, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. This channel exists to help you recognize narcissistic and manipulative patterns calmly, clearly, and without blame, so you can understand what's happening and trust yourself again. And sometimes, hiding positive feelings is only the beginning. In the next video, we'll explore why some adults make the child feel disloyal for loving the other parent, and how that quiet emotional pressure can gradually teach children that openly loving both parents is no longer emotionally safe. Click here to watch.